Belizeans at home and abroad. My name is Leonard Brackett. I'll be your chairman for tonight's program. Hopefully, I'll survive because the way I feel right now is like the program not started and my head don't feel like one of the veins and one bus. So I'll give them all these heads up just in case when I say a keel over, something going on. But I anticipated because of what's going on and what we're about to deal with for tonight. This is the Belizean Affairs Show number 391. 391. We're grateful for your attention and you're tuning in to us, those of you who will be listening to us live as we normally do. And for those who will listen to us tomorrow, or tonight, or tomorrow, or at some other convenient time, we do appreciate your time spared to listen to us. Whatever we bring to the table, we hope that you will derive some positive public benefit from it, and that it will serve the well-being of our people and country of Belize. Again, this is the Belizean Affairs Show number 391. Today is Friday, and we normally will deal with a whole lot of legal matters and constitutional matters. Yes, we will deal with some of those, but we have other pressing matters too that we need to stay on top of, because we can't give these guys any kind of breathing space right now. They're running like cockroaches, because the light is being flashed on them, and they don't want to be seen half naked or naked altogether. So what they're trying to do now is making excuses and going around now trying to do what they were supposed to have done in the beginning, but with the same objective. That is that they want to cash out up front and to hell with us. And I'm not sure that we Belizeans should be going for another ride with these guys for as many times as they have taken us for rides. They know what the ride is about. They know what the outcome is. Them getting the money, and we have to find another way to come up with the money to make up the difference. So here we go. For right now, I'll just close my eyes. I'll do the prayer, and then I'll ask Mr. Wade if he'd grace us with reading.
Amen.
Okay, Mr. Wade, I'll just bow my head and do a little prayer. So, divine loving Father, once again we come before thy presence, asking that thou would accept our humble expression of gratitude and thankfulness to thee for having given us the privilege of life, first and foremost, and secondly, for giving us the opportunity to still be alive among our family members, friends, and loved ones in fairly good health at this point. We pray that thou mayest continue to bless our family members, each and every one of them, as if they were mentioned by name and number. Thou knowest our hearts, our desires, even our most secret thoughts, loving Father. Please let the words of our mouth and the meditation of our mind and the contriteness of our hearts be acceptable before thy divine presence, now and always. We pray that thou mayest bless our country of Belize, its people and leadership, that thou would bless this country of the United States, its people and leadership, and that thou would bless the rest of humanity, especially those people who are in harm's way, being hurt sometimes for no justifiable reason. Those who have need of food and clothes and shelter, we pray that thou would provide for them. We pray that thou must grant us wisdom, knowledge, understanding, endurance, perseverance, protection, and that thou would give us the words to speak tonight so that we don't speak out of order. Even though I know I come with a burden on my heart, loving Father, help me that I may not overdo it, but that I may not disrespect our audience, but that thou would give me the words with which to communicate and convey my sense of outrage, as well as what we need to do in order to save ourselves from these calamities and treacherous times that we are living through. For us, these mercies in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for
You're welcome, sir.
that nice prayer and, from the heart and, country and nation and the world.
I know I need
Needs this
guidance,
prayer.
sir. I know
Yes,
I
sir.
need guidance, and
We we do, Mr. Chairman. And as always, I got a verse, Bible verse for us tonight, Mr. Chairman, and it was sent by our supporter, Mr. Chairman, one of our supporter.
could we get a name
Thank
once
you.
in a while so they can know at least we, you don't mind?
So, uh,
Mr. Wade? You don't
I'm,
mind telling us Which one of our supporters is sending this
No,
particular
I'll
one to you?
pass on that one. I'll pass
Oh,
on
okay,
that.
okay.
I'll pass on that. I'll
All
pass
right.
on that one.
I see we have it in the background. Oh, is
The
already
chairman.
yes.
Okay, Mr.
Before
Chairman.
before you go
You want to? Shall
before
I
you go
go
ahead,
ahead, or we
I
introduce,
was going to
or
ask
you
you if
want to
before.
introduce Greg? Go ahead.
Yes, I was going to ask you that before you go ahead that you
Yes, sir.
let Mr. Brackett, Gregory Brackett, or senior engineer and next panelist introduce himself. Are you, Greg?
Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome, sir.
Good night to the people at home and abroad. Welcome to this 291st edition of Belizean Affair. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Belizean Affair is going to bring to you a special Friday night edition where we will see exactly what is going on in our country, and I want you to be the judge of it. I go back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, sir. Yield to Mr. Wade for him to do the reading for us, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Greg. It's
You're
always a pleasure
welcome, sir.
to sit in your company, sir. And I'll read from Proverbs, guys, from chapter 28, 1 to 10, and it reads: "The wicked flee when no one pursues, but the righteous are bold as a lion.
Amen.
When a land transgresses, it has many rulers, but with a man of understanding and knowledge, its stability will long continue. A poor man who oppresses the poor is a beating rain that leaves no food. Those who forsake the law praise the wicked, but
Mm-hmm.
those who keep the law strives against them.
Amen.
Evil men do not understand justice, but those who seek the Lord understand it completely. Better is a poor man who walks in his integrity
Amen.
than a rich man who is crooked in
Mm-hmm.
his ways. The one who keeps the law is a son with understanding, but a companion of gluttons shames his father. Whoever multiplies his wealth by interest and profit gathers it for him who is generous to the poor. If one turns away his ears from hearing the law, even his prayers is an abomination.
Unto the Lord. Amen.
Whoever mislead the upright
Mm-hmm.
into an evil way will fall into his own pit, but the blameless will have a godly inheritance. A rich man is wise in his own eyes, but a poor man who has understanding will find him out.
Amen.
That's my reading, Mr. Chairman.
Uh,
Thank you.
could you give us a short
Like you
commentary on
read
it?
my mind, Mr. Chairman. I was going to ask for 3 minutes only of your time.
Go right
Of
ahead,
your,
sir.
I was going to
Go
ask
right
for
ahead.
3 minutes.
As as
Greg.
as as Greg said, tonight is going to be one of those nights to remember. So whatever is going to make our heart
Like,
content, let's do it before we
but,
get into the
yeah, Mr. Chairman. But
grumbling.
what I'm saying, like you read my mind. I was going to ask you for, but here you go, right? And we
Yeah.
didn't talk about this, right? So there you go. Like you read my mind. But anyway,
I,
I get.
after I
Yeah.
say my prayers, Mr. I say it like this: we're on public area, and I shouldn't be doing this kind of um, flagellation in public, But after I say my prayer, I'm good to roll.
Thank you, sir.
Everything works out after that.
Thank you,
That's my
sir.
belief. You don't have to. Others don't have to
And
believe that. I believe that.
Thank
Go
you,
ahead, sir.
sir. Mr.
Are you?
Chairman and Greg, through our Belizean Affairs show number 391, I want to send out a special condolences to the Fraser family. For the passing
I just did today on a personal level. That's one
on
of our
a
national heroes, sir.
for passing of a real and true union leader. You hear my
Hmm.
words, a true and real, not fake, not other, true and real in my book. I speak for myself.
Lifelong
He
too.
he was a lion to the end.
Yes, sir.
There will never, see, I say, there will never in my book be one like him. He was a true hero and was never compromised.
Hmm.
Never compromised. Many of us will always remember him for what he stands for. May his soul rest in eternal peace, rise
Uh-huh.
in glory. And in my book, we should have a national holiday in his honor along with Mr. Golson. They are my true hero. And of Belize, may he rest in eternal peace. And again, our condolences goes out to his family. Back to you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for giving me that time to.
Thank you very much, sir. I'd like to use to Mr. Brackett, Greg, just so he can unburden his mind, his thoughts, or whatever. Just so So what we do right now? I just prep myself for what's coming, no? Because I tell you, I don't know if I'll survive the show, so I'll try and make it. I'll try and make everything right now.
Oh, you
Are
will,
you,
you
Mr.
will.
Are you, Mr. Brackett?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, sir.
To you, the people at home and abroad, I want to tip my hat to a trailblazer, Mr. Fraser. My
Hmm.
condolence goes out to your family and to all who stood fast with him
Hmm.
against the then government who was trying to monopolize on the Belizean people.
And Mr. Brackett, a point of clarification: he may have had his own political insights, but he was never a politically driven person. He gave hell to both mass parties that govern our country whenever they were wrong. He didn't pull back or spare nobody. So the gentleman is one of a kind that probably, as you said, we may not see again, or Mr.
Never
Gator can say
compromise.
that again, we may not see again in our lifetime. But that gentleman deserved everything that we can. I mean, now that he's dead and gone, with a heap up all kind of praise for now. But during the man's lifetime, he showed us what it was like to step to the plate on behalf of his Belizean people, deal with any consequences, regardless. And he was willing to pay whatever price. He wasn't the cowards that throw stone and hide the hand. But I'll deal back to you, sir. I'm sorry for taking that much of your time. Mr. Brackett,
Thank you for that, Mr. Brackett.
you're welcome,
You
sir.
couldn't have said any better, but I will say it in this way for Mr. Fraser. He is not with us at this time, but what he had fought for, we are fighting for today.
Yes,
Not
sir.
to go back to monopolization of our telecommunication station.
Yes,
And
sir.
it's only fair, since we are honoring Mr. Fraser, to go back and show his accomplishments.
It is an indication that government they get the sense and they better listen to the people. We give them some very realistic and achievable recommendations. We insist there must be reform. We got to clean up the system. We got to clean those out who are part of the abuse, and we got to respect the rights of our Belizean people. Increased taxes can only bring hardship on our people. So we will review it, and we are prepared to enter dialogue with government.
Wonderful piece of tape. Bring back memories.
Mr. Chairman, that was in honor of Mr. Fraser.
Thank you very much, sir.
Gentlemen and people at home and abroad, we're now going back through that crisis and reliving in memory what Mr. Fraser had fought for, not to have a monopoly system in our telecommunications. That is why, under Mr. Musa, they enacted the Telecommunication Act, which is an act of parliament. And the only way to bypass it is for government to go to the National Assembly and go through both houses and amend the Parent Act. Now, I want to say this. Mr. Fraser is dead and gone, and I hope after tonight's show, the BTL saga will also be dead and gone, because that is what we are fighting for. I want to go back to a tape, Mr. Chairman, to hear what was said, and I will show you what is happening, and I will tell you, the people at home and abroad, why the Prime Minister is doing this.
You know that we've been accused of pulling the plug on some media houses. And we did a review to see, in fact, the good thing about our systems is that our systems can tell you when you were billed, when you were not, when you were disconnected, etc. All of that is there in our billing system. And there was a mistake, and we wrote a letter of apology to Channel 7, and I think Cabinet has asked that we share it, because it's not the policy of the government, and it's not the policy of BTL to unplug anybody. And I took that really seriously, you know, because I certainly did not ask that Channel 7 be unplugged, or any media house. So you'll be receiving a copy of that letter, so that we are giving our reassurances that we're putting the media as an essential service type, where we would communicate with you before we cut you. Now, what happened with the billing system is, if there is a balance due by a certain day, it cut you automatically. We not go down the list for say, if you pay, you pay, you pay, you pay. No, this is...
People at home and abroad, I stopped the tape right there because the chairman of BTL is saying they have an automation system that cuts you off if you owe. Now, I quickly want to go to the Prime Minister before I go to you gentlemen, because I will tell you what is happening as clean as daylight. I will show you.
An important point we discussed in Cabinet when Mr. Vasquez was alleging that he was illegally cut his services for whatever reasons. The chairman explained that what happened is that there was, at that moment, they were transferring to a new system, an automated system.
I cut the tape at there and that new system because tonight we wanted to make sense, and it is not making sense. Mr. Wade, I go to you first for a chart input, and then I will go to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
And then we will get into what is the delicate part of what is happening in this detailed saga.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, if you listen to Mr. Lizarraga, he's talking with two tongues. Yeah, he says, well, we don't cut people. Well, why did they cut Jules? Right? We are not in the business of Man, what that man is, you owe them $5, they'll cut you. So what that guy is talking is bull crap. Okay, bull crap, right? He has a different agenda, right? And then you hear his boss, who he only answered to, his boss. He said it publicly. That man Briseño. That's who he answered to, the one who gave him the job, right? So I'll say this quickly. A lot of us could remember there was a beef between Jules, and even he was threatened to be sued by Briseño, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's only me saying that's one of the, maybe that's the reason they caught him. That's only me. So all I'm saying is that these guys, they're caught up in a net that they're scrambling to get out. Each one of them has their marching paper, in terms of, you go and you say this, you march him off with question and answers and stuff like that, right? So they're scrambling to get out of this mess that they're in. But I say this to you, Mr. Chairman, and Greg, and my people, both at home and abroad. These people have dogged themselves, put themselves in that position, put themselves in that pit, and they will never come out of it. They will never come out of it in the eyes of the Belizean people. Back to you,
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
O'Year. I go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, sir. I'd like to say that the present government, led by the present Prime Minister, who's the person that has the levers them, and have been playing with those levers to try and manufacture or conspire to have this sordid BTL affair work out, has actually, well, first of all, it appears to me that these gentlemen really didn't know what they were trying to do. They know what they wanted to do, which is to get their hands on the public money, but they never had a plan on how to go about doing it successfully. And it wouldn't have taken them much ingenuity or to be such geniuses to concoct something that was so far-fetched. The government have a majority, the PUP government in place under the Prime Minister has a majority of the House of Representatives. Not only just a majority, a super majority, as a matter of fact. Okay? So they could have used that super majority effectively before getting themselves entangled in this sordid affair. They could have used, the Prime Minister didn't have to canvass any of those directors to the point that one of them decided, well, she no accept no kind of proposition like that. She have to live with her own conscience, and others as well. But he never had to actually canvass nobody. He had the majority in his pocket. He appointed them all. So had he played his card right and not tried to bully the process, he could have still ended up winning at the end of the day. And maybe we wouldn't have had all this long discussion and debate, which should have happened, by the way, anyhow, because it's a public affair. It's the Belizean people affairs. It's their money at stake that these gangsters are trying to rip off. But the way they went about it, like I'm saying, they put this thing together, and then they have Mr. Ashcroft weigh in on this proposition, knowing that Mr. Ashcroft is like a lightning rod for the people. The people don't, they have had enough of that gentleman. And we just can't seem to get rid of him. It's like a whole egg. And every time he turns around and we got to deal with him, it's multiple millions and tens of millions of dollars that we have to pony up. How is it that we leaders then can't learn? Why? In this case, at least the maximum so-called leader is in business or was in business with Mr. Ashcroft. He
Mr.
turned over.
Chairman, it is
Yes.
more than that, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman.
Give me a second. I'm going to turn it back to you right now. He appoint these people, and he expect these people to keel over on his behalf because they know it's his interest that is at stake. So it was easy for him to have gone ahead and do what he could have done without having to expose himself and other people, compromise other people, just because he want to rip off we money. And he think that he have the authority or the powers vested in him to connive and hoodwink and talk a whole lot of craziness, say things that doesn't add up, that are being contradicted him by his own director. Okay? As a matter of fact, I'm going to yield to you, Greg. Like I said, I need to contain my emotions a little bit tonight. I know it's going to run off for a little while afterwards, but I'm trying to be measured. So I'm going to yield back to you, sir, without even closing my point.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
Let's go to the next step. People at home and abroad, I want you to follow closely on tonight's presentation because I want to show you how deep and how far the government would go to get this acquisition done.
The PUC is preparing an SI, which will be sent to the Attorney General before it comes to Cabinet. And that is to ensure that things, for example, like there's a transitional period. During that period, rates will not be raised, bundles will not be changed, subscribers will not be allowed to be moved from one rate to another unless they specifically require it, and things like that.
Transitional period means something changes. What's the change that is anticipated?
Well, it is anticipated, as you may have heard in the media, that there's a proposal to consolidate the two the telephone companies. Yes.
Yes, but making an SI for it sounds like government has made a decision to.
No, not at all. As the regulator, I think PUC has to prepare for every eventuality, and I think it is out there, it is in the public that this is being discussed.
And do you support a telecoms monopoly?
I don't know that there is a monopoly. As far as I know, there are about 23 other broadband providers in this country. So I don't know that there is a monopoly.
He's telling on himself, you know.
People at home and abroad, I want to go back to the last show we had. And I specify that the only way the government can get this to pass is to go to the National Assembly. And I said why. Because the Telecommunication Act is enshrined in the Constitution. And the PUC, even with the Minister of Telecommunication, can only make regulations to keep these companies safe. They can draft regulation for competition. He can sign a side, but that is to keep everything in a flow. What he cannot do is have PUC make a regulation and sign a side to bypass going to the House and pretend that it is law to trump the Parent Act. I said it, and I know for a fact that is what they are trying to do. But I also said something else. I said they're doing this because they know if they take it to the National Assembly, the Senate will block it. And I will prove that tonight to you, the people at home and abroad. I will go to another tape before we open the floor, and then I will go in to what happened in the National Assembly today to show you what the government of Belize had tried to do to get this far. Let's go to the tape.
We are being sold a narrative of efficiency, Madam President. We are being promised a strategic consolidation. But let us peel back the corporate jargon and call it what it truly is, the state-sponsored execution of competition in the telecommunications sector. History is a tough but effective teacher, Madam President, and the history of the Belizean telecom monopoly is a story of high prices and pain with telecommunication rates. It was only the entry of SpeedNet that finally broke that chokehold, forcing prices down and data speeds up. To move back toward a single provider is a voluntarily walk back into the cage we fought decades to escape. Madam President, the BTL board argues that this merger is a survival tactic against the inevitable entry of Starlink. This is not just flawed logic, it is a dangerous delusion, Madam President. Buying competition is not innovation. Removing a local rival does not make BTL more agile against a global satellite giant. It simply makes BTL a larger, slower, and more bureaucratic target. How does saddling BTL with another $80 million in debt improve its ability to compete? If a customer wants low latency of Starlink, an $80 million buyout won't stop them from switching tomorrow. You do not beat a 21st century satellite network by buying up the sunset technology. We are being asked to gamble the retirement funds of Belizean workers on a 20th century business model. This isn't a strategic move, it's a high stakes bet using the public's purse and workers' money. I call upon the Senate, if we're ever called to deliberate on this matter, Madam President, that we look out for the Belizean consumers, that we look out for business, that we look out for the future of this economy.
Gentlemen and people at home and abroad, you heard it from Senator Herrera. If the Prime Minister takes this to the National Assembly, the senators will block it. Serious. I go to you, Mr. Wade.
Mr. Brackett?
Go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. Just give me a second. Sorry about that. You alluded to something just now. According to the Telecommunication Act, and you pointed out some of the things that they had to do or need to do in order to justifiably attempt to achieve their end objective.
That is correct.
I want to take it a little further for further clarification and for them to see how far the bar is for them to jump over. Because what the Minister of
PUC,
Mr. Shabat was talking about is exactly what you was mentioning, Mr. Chairman, Greg, in regards to what I'm going to point out right here now. That is that he thinks that he can authorize with a
regulation.
With an SI, he can authorize with an SI what is going to be needed by the PUC to help out BTL jam this thing down for each other and make them walk away with free money. But that's not about to happen, okay? Because, let me read it. The following commentary was made by Leonard Brackett to elucidate unconstitutionality of inconsistent amendments. That is, if they even go to the House and pass an amendment to the existing act, okay, and that amendment that they pass violates the Constitution, it means it's null and void. I'm going to read it. voidable constitutional amendments. That is something that is a nullity. To them, it's a game plan that they hope to try and hoodwink us with. But for those of us who are paying attention, including yourself, Mr. Brackett, what I'm reading here or what I'm dealing with here, we know that they can't get to where they want to go from where they are today. Unless, but I'm not going to deal with the unless. If you amend the Criminal Control Act, for example, or if you amend the Telecommunication Act, for example, and your amendments violates and is inconsistent with the Belize Constitution as currently is, that is, in a conditional case because they're only proposing or they're only bouncing around trying to figure out what will make us appeased, okay? They're not dealing with the facts as they really need to deal with. They're trying to hoodwink us and get us to the point where we accede to let them grab for money and walk off with it because, well, they have told us the little story that they think we want to hear or satisfy us because they have the power and they're trying to use the power that they have to bullyrag instead of follow the system and follow the Constitution, follow the order of how process is supposed to work. If they go ahead and make any such amendment that violates the Constitution and is inconsistent, then such amendments, to the extent of its inconsistencies, is null and void, as per Constitution of Belize, Part 1, Section 2, Subsection 1, and others, etc. So the Constitution provides for them to do certain things. They have all the majority that they need to get it done lawfully and legally in the House. But they have to get it done constitutionally. They can't whitewash the process and they can't violate the Constitution and pretend that, well, because they decided or they deemed something to be the way they want it to be, that's the way it is. It's a nullity. They have wasted their time and our time. But if we swallow it and they get to walk off with the money, by the time somebody else figure out what to do or how to do, they would have long been gone with the money and the deal would have been consummated. Even if they get catch or they are being proven to be wrong, the money would have been gone. You can't get the money back. So that's the game that they're playing. They're playing a long game in the sense that now they're coming around to try and pretend that they're doing what they were supposed to have been doing in the first place. If they do what you said, Greg, they still haven't gotten to the threshold of overcoming the constitutional violations. Okay? So Mr. Shebat can't make no SI to give permission to the PUC to write any bogus, whatever they want to write, that will trump the act itself. As you said, they have to go back to the House, amend the act first, then start from square one with what they're attempting to do. But they're in a hurry to try and get this deal done and over with. They're impatient. I yield back, sir. I think it was going to go to Mr. Weir just now. And I just wanted to clarify this point or bring this point forward because even if they had gone ahead and do what you're saying, they would have still been up the creek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome,
Just
sir.
let me
Go ahead.
give an explanation of what you said.
Excuse us for a second, Mr. Wade.
Yes, Mr. Wade will come in. I think
Go
we
ahead,
might
go
go a little bit late tonight because we need to get this out.
Go ahead,
Mr. Chairman, even if they go to the House and they amend it, when they amend it, they cannot trump the Parent Act to move what is enshrined for competition and replace it with a now present act that would say monopoly. They cannot do that. I want to say it again. As it stands at present, the Telecommunication Act, which is Act of Parliament, has been done to protect consumers and to have competition. It's the Parent Act. If the government go there and amend it, they cannot just amend it and take out the competition, it will fall in violation of Section 2, which specifies any other law that
That
is
is
not,
inconsistent.
that is what will happen. I go to you, Mr. Weir.
Thank you. You know, you see the attitude of these guys. See the Shabbat guy. You know, he is hell bent in pleasing the prime minister. He does not want the prime minister to look bad, right? Um, he is willing to sacrifice himself. Seems like knowing whatever he is doing is illegal,
He's a lawyer.
unconstitutional, right? But it seems he had done that before. He have done
Mhm.
this kind of nonsense before,
That's why
right?
he had. That's why he had to lose the
And you see
department he
where
was
he
heading
ends
before.
up,
Yeah.
right? But that
Mhm.
guy is a close uh, um, a cleaner of Briseño. He's his prime minister, his boss, his PUP boss, and the prime minister, right?
Mhm.
He want to say so close to this man that he's willing to sacrifice his career in a sense, to say, well, the public will say, look, there he goes again. Listen to that guy. Same crap he did when he was Minister of Health, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Right, and the same crap he's doing again.
He wrote an
So,
essay that was bogus and
so
was thrown back against his face.
yeah. So I said, I said, there this guy
They
go
never learn.
again. Don't have the guts, the fortitude to stand on righteousness and in terms of doing the right thing. Then you play there, Greg, the Heredia guy, right? I think he's an ex-BDF too, and I remember him in BDF. I think he's an ex-BDF. He been in the BDF, I think. Yeah, somewhere down the line. But anyway, I think that he should be more in clarity of what he thinks, really thinks, and stop, turning around and twisting around and then that lets me to think that, is he truly going to vote and no against it? Based on this, just his the things he's saying, right? But anyway, like many other votes, how in the Senate, I'm talking the Senate,
Mhm.
how that there is this one man that before the day of the Senate hearing, that one man call all these senators, right? And
Leader of government business, you call him. The unelected
right,
one.
he
And
right.
I can call the name too, sir. To help you if
So
you don't want to call it.
so I just hope that, Mr. Chairman, that on the day of the Senate to hear this illegal moves again, right? This rewarding to Ashcraft again and some cronies. That I hope that they get the names, Mr. Chairman. I hope that they get the names of these players. Not only take to say, well, talk to Jaime, right? You know, hear him say this lately, right? But I hope that these senators, Mr. Chairman and Greg, get the names of these players and then think about the taxpayers' dollars and think about the amount and think about who will end up, with the bag of bills. Who is going to end up with the bag of bills? I hope that they all take that into consideration, Mr. Chairman, on that day of vote and be a true a person for truth, righteous, and for being a, like we call it, a tick in terms of telling the Briseño administration, the government, that man, you can't do it. We're not there with you. We can't do it because it's only right that we vote no. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you
Thank
very much.
you, Mr. Chairman.
Great.
I will continue and I want to say this.
Uh-huh.
You heard what the Minister of Telecommunications said about the SI.
Uh-huh.
I want to say this. I believe the government, they know exactly what they were doing and why they were going that way. today in the House of Assembly, the government lead senator, business senator, as you guys refer to, they
The
tried
unelected
to
one.
pass a bill to protect this transaction. And I want to bring it out today because the senators were upset and most of them had did their homework. This is how far these people would go. And first I want to go to let the people at home and abroad and gentlemen hear what Senator Lewis Wade had to say. Let's sit back and listen so we can get a sense of how far these people would go.
Thank you, Senator Chanona. I recognize Senator Lewis Wade.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I'm going to be brief because I want to start by saying that I support my colleagues in what they have been saying so far as it relates to this bill. I too was a part of the working session that was held in Belize City, and I brought up point 15, and I noticed there has been some change, but not to the extent, and it still does not solve the problem that I had stated. Number 15 says, every person summoned to appear before either chamber, a committee, or a joint committee in accordance with Section 9 may be represented by an attorney at law, provided that the attorney at law is not a member or officer of either chamber. The wording of this particular legislation is present tense. It says, provided the attorney at law is not a member or officer of either chamber. The example that I brought up had to do with a former member of the executive who clearly was at one time sitting in the chamber. That executive member is no longer in office, but is still an attorney at law. And in a previous Senate Select Committee investigation, that former executive, who is currently an attorney, appeared as the attorney for an individual who was summoned before the Senate Select Committee. And in my opinion, the questions that were being raised were related to the term of office that that particular attorney at law, who is now representing the person being questioned, was representing that individual. I believe it should never have happened, and I believe it should never again happen. And the way this legislation is written, it is only if that attorney at law is currently in the chamber that he wouldn't be able to make representation on behalf of a person. I had brought it up, and as I said, I believe, without mentioning names per se, that it should refer to a former member of the chamber if at least that particular former member was involved directly or indirectly with the matter that is being investigated. So that relates to 15. And then I also take issue with 16.2. And I believe that all Belizeans should pay very close attention to what is being argued, why Section 16.2 is being flagged by my colleagues, where it states no public officer, except with the consent of the Governor General, shall be required to produce before either chamber or committee any paper, book, record, or any other document, or to give before either chamber or a committee any evidence on that matter. And so I do agree and believe that it beholdens the Senate to the Governor General as it relates to what can and can be said by a public officer when certain questions are asked. And based upon my observation, the Governor General does not have a full cadre of professionals that can help him or her make that determination. And that Governor General then must depend upon the existing public service, be it the Attorney General or others, that may be a part of the investigation itself. And so I am not satisfied the way it is currently written that the Senate in this particular matter, like those who the Senate would like to call to make representation or to make a presentation before the Senate, must first gain the approval of the Governor General. I have, since my short time being a senator, listened to multiple of my fellow senators complain about what happened in the last Senate Select Committee investigation. When does the Senate approve an investigation? It is when the people of Belize demand answers, and those answers are not forthcoming. So, and I dare say I believe that we are either there or heading there again. And so we need to ensure that the legislation is written in such a way that Belizeans are able to get the answers that they are asking. And Section 16.2, in my opinion, seeks to place very heavy fetters on the Belizean person's desire to get to the truth of a matter. And so what happened in some of these previous Senate Select Committee investigations must not happen again. If we are going to do justice to the people of Belize to ensure that the Senate is able to carry out its responsibility to get to the bottom of matters, then Section 16.2 needs to be clarified. I believe it needs to be clarified too in that statement that says affairs of the state. I mean, the Senate is also responsible to ratify treaties. I believe that we are privy already to sensitive information. And if we are going to get to the bottom of certain matters that provoke the Belizean psyche, then there needs to be a clearly defined inclusion of what we mean by affairs of the state, so that it is not used as another opportunity to frustrate the Belizean public in trying to get to the bottom of a matter. And so the way this particular bill is stated, I am not prepared to support it until we are able to get clarity on these matters. Thank you, Madam President.
No, people at home and abroad, and gentlemen, you heard the word affairs of the state. The government business senator, they tried to pass a bill today. This bill is actually to block evidence if there is corruption, like the last Senate hearing. So that is why I said they know what they're doing. I'll give you an example. This SI that they want to pass to help BTL acquisition. If there should be a Senate hearing and they call in Minister Shabat, you know what he can say? It's affairs of the state, so he cannot answer on that. Then they want to use the governor. To get him to answer, they will have to go through the governor who has nobody beside her. Then she will have to say if he can answer. Then they will have to go from what she says to the Attorney General before he can answer. So it's about stalling, not to bring out things that are corruption, like this BTL deal. So when he said what he said about the SI, and you see what road they wanted to go, and not through the National Assembly, if an investigation was to come, they will say they cannot discuss nothing because that's about the state. And when he was referring to a certain attorney, I don't have to call the name. You guys know which attorney was in the house and stepped down and represent somebody in the house and they walk out. So that is what he was referring to. And that said attorney is the one pushing this bill. So you guys can know who I'm talking about.
Okay.
I go to you first, Mr. Wade.
Go ahead, Mr. Wade.
You know, that's to show you what I on my last ending or when you came to me, and I ended by saying that there's this certain senator that seems to always get what he wants, and he has a way that he gets what he wants from by his own means to make the Belizean administration look good, to make the person that gave him that job look good. But it's so sad to see how these guys do business, right? And you hear that Louis mentioned that the state of the Governor General office, right? What she's not, I mean, the help that she's supposed to have around her, she does not. Mm-hmm. So who she has to rely on?
The Attorney General's office.
So these guys, Mr. Chairman and Greg, seem that they have it all figured out, right? Until the bombshell drop and explode. And I hope that these very same senators, really get together and explode this bomb, right? And let the stinks goes where it may. And it should be truth, and it should be in terms of that, we are looking out for the country and the Belizean people. That's what it should be.
That's right? What it is, Mr. Wade. We will get to that. We will get to that, Mr. Wade. You will get your heart content. Okay?
Just a minute. Just a minute. The issue that is being spoken about currently relates to the fact that An unelected person was given the opportunity to be a senator, to be appointed as a senator on behalf of the PUP, majority. They went ahead and appointed Mr. Courtney, and I could call other names, but they are not the relevant names, so let's deal with this relevant name that I just called. Not only as a senator, but as the lead senator in government business. In addition to that, they supercharged the man. They gave him superpowers to become a minister. And a minister with multiple portfolio at that. When in fact, for the other ministers, they only had one portfolio, but they had little marginal things. But he was given a super position in cabinet because he was supposed to lord over cabinet on behalf of Mr. Ashcroft. Most Belizeans would not be aware of that as a reality. But those were the facts and the circumstances as we had experienced them. The bottom line is after Mr. Ashcroft got his money, this particular designated super senator that became a super cabinet member, looking over the shoulders of the prime minister and the way the prime minister was running cabinet in terms of making sure that the money was allocated for Mr. Ashcroft to be paid off so that he, the senator, who was Mr. Ashcroft's lawyer, would get his pay because Mr. Ashcroft never paid all the money when he was acting as a lawyer for Mr. Ashcroft. Mr. Ashcroft hold back some money. So he, the senator, the super senator I'm talking about, had justifications to pressure the cabinet and lead the cabinet down the line where the money would have been had by pressuring the teachers, them, and everybody else in the system to make sure that money gets appropriated. After that money was appropriated and Mr. Ashcroft got paid off and we were told by the prime minister in the house, he had an arrangement with Mr. Ashcroft where he settled with Mr. Ashcroft all outstanding accounts. Remember, I always make the statement about when he put the hand together in the house, his fingers as a quotation, and say all outstanding accounts, and gave us the impression that after that outstanding settlement of $400 million, that we would never see Mr. Ashcroft again. Now these jackals come again because he was still in business and his family in business with Mr. Ashcroft. And Mr. Ashcroft took over 78% of the company. So they did not control the company anymore. He is now coming to cry crocodile tears to us about stuff where he claimed that he don't know, and he act like he don't know, but he damn well know that he wanted the smart deal to go through under his watch and with the acquiescence and support of the people that he appointed to those various boards. And he will make it work on behalf of Mr. Ashcroft, his best buddy, and his financier. Okay? So they all gang up together and turn around and invited the leader of the opposition to come on the boat. But other members of the Belizean government also went on the boat, but they painted the leader of the opposition as if the leader of the opposition.
Context, Mr. Brackett. Context.
Wait. There's need for clarity on the point. I brought the point up. I need to clarify it. The idea was that they are in business together, looking out for each other's interests, but they're going to lump in the opposition so the opposition takes on the flak and that's distract from their criminal conduct. Okay? And because people got wise to what was happening and are pushing back, now they want to go around and pretend that, okay, well, what they're supposed to have done before in order to look like they were doing the thing the right way, they're now attempting to try and do. But the bottom line is that the cat is out of the bag. They can't sell us no pussy in no bag anymore. And that is what the problem is. So they're going to fight us now as hard as they have to in order to get the deal done. At the end of the day, nothing will happen if they don't make that deal happen. And everybody is being put on notice. Fall in line, find a way to make this thing work out. Whatever you got to do, you got to do. But at the end of the day, it has to be done. It's only we, the people, and those who are paying attention, is holding them at bay because we are embarrassing them every day. But other than that, if it's left to them, they'd have just pulled off the deal without even doing what they're trying to do now to show that, well, they're so genuine. They're not genuine. They're still scamps. They're still operating as a bunch of mobsters. They're still operating with evil intent towards the people of the country. While people are dying for hunger, going to bed at night without any food, these jackals are ripping off all the cream, all the money from the top, with all kind of backhand schemes. Legally, as a matter of fact, at least that's what they're trying to pretend to say, it's all been done legally and correctly. I go to you, Greg.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
You're welcome.
Thanks
Sir.
for your comment. And I want to say, regardless of all that you said, which is happening, I'm here tonight to point out how they wanted to get this to work. You heard about the SI to the puck regulators.
Mm-hmm.
I know we see them before that happened. Is trying to come with a new bill so they cannot be held accountable because it will be affairs of the state. So if these senators did not have their I's and P's and Q's up and that had passed, you calling any of those people on the puck board and the detail board, you know what will happen? They will stall in a Senate hearing and say, we can't talk about that because that's a affair of the state. That is what they are trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
But the smart senators got a hold of it. And now it has put them in another hot water. That is why I keep saying the only way to get it done is to go to the National Assembly. And they don't want to take it there because they know four of the business senators and more is getting on is already saying they will block it. So that is
Greg,
why I refer.
Greg, I agree with you 100% that that's their intent and how they are approaching it. But I'll point out something to you. We have to be careful in not accepting the premise.
Mr. Chairman.
Wait. Listen to what I'm saying. It's very relevant and important because we could get hoodwinked right at the tip. Okay? And that's what I'm trying to say. Of the four senators that have already signed up, the business senators, them, and all the other senators, them, the public senators, them, right? I'm not talking about the UDP senators, them, because they will go against anything the government wants to do. So they are as good as guaranteed. I'm talking about of the four people, which will make the difference. If they vote as a block consistently, they will make the 7 that's carry the majority out of the 13. 7 out of 13 is majority. And that's what, but we have to be careful that we don't look at that and depend on that as being the final outcome, because there are 2 of those 4 senators that are marginal, and we can't take it for granted that they will go 100%. As long as their needs are satisfied, we have had that happen to us before. We have had the same Mr. Courtney make promises to some of those same senators in the past before, and he hoodwinked them. They went ahead and they voted for the stuff, and later on they retracted what they had offered to them. So we don't want to go back into that.
Mr. Brackett, let's continue so we can see the context of what we're saying.
Go
I
ahead,
don't
sir.
want you to get distracted from the people. But as I'm putting it out there, this is what happened today. They tried to pass the bill, and the senators got a hold of it. Let's go to another tape to hear what is being said.
Madam President, can you hear me? Sorry. On this matter, Madam President, I just wish to make my position clear. I'm clearly objecting to this particular bill. And I stand very firmly I'm not intended to legally advise this abled body any further, offer my legal opinions, simply because the 1932 compensation of 1365 is now wholly inadequate to account for it. And if we're speaking about uplifting the privileges and making the parliament work, I think as the representative for the Trade Union Congress, we must ask at the very least ChatGPT how much $1365 in 1962 is today. And I will suggest very kindly, Madam President, that it's about what they pay a judge right now. That being said, Madam President, counsel who just spoke, my learned friend, said you can't say this section don't make sense. I'm here to tell the people of Belize the sections do not make sense. And they don't make sense for the following reasons. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. And it is the Constitution that empowers the Senate to make these inquiries. There are guardrails in place, people of Belize. A motion for an inquiry has to be clearly stated, and the contents of that inquiry have to be clearly defined in that motion. So we're not on a fact-finding witch hunt. A matter of national interest has arisen. Senators have determined that that matter must be ventilated by their constitutional duty to the people of Belize. And it is in pursuit of that high duty to the people of Belize, for which we get $1,365 a month, that we are doing this work. And that work, in my time in the Senate, has been sidelined by the use of privileges that are now being updated to make it worse. So, let me address the last point, my friend. Well, the penultimate point my friend made. Section 38, let's be very clear. 38 will not function if there's no report produced. One, a report has to be produced to the Attorney General. That is an ultimate stop. You don't want a prosecution to go ahead, you don't produce a report. Simple. In the event you produce a report, you then need the AG to issue a certificate to say that the section has been complied with, and you, Madam DPP, can go ahead and see if you consent to this prosecution. So there are two layers before Madam DPP gets to decide whether there will be a prosecution. Two. That does not make sense. Section 16. I think my friend and colleague, Senator Herrera, dealt with 16 very well, and I don't need to repeat it. But the separation of powers requires, in my humble view, when the legislature is investigating a matter of national importance, that it is not fettered in any way by any outside agent, especially not any in the executive whose actions are being investigated. As it relates to the judiciary, people of Belize may not know, but these inquiries are time sensitive and can be terminated by the legislature simply closing down. Like we had an early election last session, that closed down our inquiry. Let's be very clear. So, we are speaking from experience to the people of Belize to say that this one can't fly. I'm not going to go and try to debate crown privilege and and why, and so. I don't agree with my friend. For those reasons, Madam President, I will not be supporting this bill. I yield.
So, gentlemen and people at home and abroad, you see the game, right? If they do something that is corrupt or something that is way out of order and they claim that is national security, as in BTL, which fall under national security, they can simply say it's affairs of the state and we cannot discuss that. And for them to discuss that, you have to go through the Governor General and through the Attorney General, who could also block it because they are part of it. So that is where we are. So they're not only trying to do a SI, they're not only trying to do a SI to make this acquisition pass, they're also trying to pass a bill that will protect them. So if you go after them, they don't have to answer, and it can take years in Senate hearing. So that is the goal of what is happening. They want to make sure that anything that is done wrong and the Belizean people want to know and another Senate hearing come up, they can simply walk in and walk out as happened in the last one, or they, the legislator, could just close the door. Election was coming, House results, and the people don't get to hear the answers of what happened. I go to you, Mr. Weir.
Thank you, dear Greg, Mr. Chairman. You know, we don't have to go too very far. You know, I'm going to be very polite. You know, see 13 Amendment, right? See what they wanted to do, which are active for 2018. That you cannot do the government nothing. Can't hold them accountable for all the illegal things that they have done, inflicted upon the pain and suffering against the Belizean people. Right? See what happened to that? Now, Greg, you mentioned, see, they're trying to do the very same thing with this illegal act again, BTL. Right? So, and I'll be brief. I wonder who is the one behind that. The smart attorney that is behind all these illegalities that they're trying to make legal. Find all kind of back hole and back door and scap hatch and all kind of thing. Forget this thing pass. There I go again. I hope that the senators, I said it before, I hope that the senators that will have the power to vote against these illegal actions by the government with no fear or favor. Without no fear or favor. Say no more. Back to you, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Mr. Brackett.
Yeah. I want to run off of the real one a little bit, okay? So I tell them up front right away.
Please stay in check, though. I don't want to.
Wait. Give me a second. Everything that we are dealing with and have been dealing with in the past, these guys expect to be exculpated from. All the crimes that have been committed in the past, they don't expect to give account of and or be accountable for. if the legal system is compromised and they can play around with the legal system and they cannot be tried, much less convicted, then that's as good as if the crime did not got committed or hadn't been committed for all intents and purposes. Okay? That's the kind of deck that these jackals are playing with. Okay? The very powers we grant to them by electing them, this is a massive majority that they can have the chutzpah, like some people are saying, or the gall, or the guts, or the veracity, or whatever it is that you want to call it, like the Spanish will say, the cojones, to relate to us and treat us with such level of disdain and hatefulness and hostility when we are the one that put them there.
Mr. Chairman,
Go
quickly,
ahead, sir. Go
do
ahead.
you remember what this lead senator said to the news reporter about his colleagues, the senators, when he walked out of that sanitarium with his client?
If
You remember what he said?
If they don't like what he did, they can do their next best. That's the level. That's what I'm talking about when I say these guys are drunk on power, and they're relating to us, the people of the country, with a level of hostility, hatefulness, disdain, and malice. I would say even to the level of evil. Because only evil people behave that kind of way and treat.
I believe that was
Go ahead.
who your
Go ahead.
cousin was reverting to.
Yeah.
But
Go ahead.
gentlemen,
You was about to say something else.
right, I will go back to you so you can finish.
Go ahead,
Are you
Mr.
finished,
Chairman.
Mr. Brackett?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thanks. Gentlemen, we go to another tip because I want to show you the different senators. We have 2 slides left, and I want you, the people at home and abroad, to be the judge of what will be said. Let's hear what this other senator had to say.
Thank you, Senator Glenfield Dennison. I now recognize Senator Gabriel Zetina.
Thank you, Madam President. I will make this very short because I believe my colleagues have stated one of the major concerns. A bill that, to me, goes to the very core of how Parliament functions and how accountability should be enforced, and how the Belizean people view this institution. And I must say from the outset that while I support modernizing outdated laws, I cannot support any law that weakens accountability, especially in a time when the Belizean people are clamoring for transparency and answers. When I took on this job, Madam President, I came along with my colleagues to seek what is best for the Belizean people. It is my constitutional right to do my job and to do it right. And Clause 16, to me, doesn't sit well. To me, this provides that a public officer may refuse to produce documents or answer questions before Parliament if an officer states that the matter related to unpublished on official records or to affairs of the state, unless a third party consents, in this case, the Governor General. And Madam President, if we're to be frank, it means that when the Senate summons a public officer, the very person or people entrusted with the public purse and the public authority those officers may come to us and say, sorry, I just can't appear, classifying it as affairs of the state. That means Parliament has no power perception matters. Whether the drafter had no malicious intent, this matter was raised in a previous committee meeting by other senators. And so the question is, why was it ignored? When other parts of the bill was adjusted, was amended, and brought with those changes. And so while Senator Aguirre might be defending the drafter, to me, this is a deliberate attempt to leave this clause the way it is. If a public officer is being asked to answer questions, I don't think he should shelter behind a third party and classify it as affairs of the state. And so I will put it bluntly, I cannot support this bill in its current form unless it is amended to ensure that the Senate can do its job and do its job properly, especially when we're seeking answers to alleged corruption, mismanagement of funds. I cannot lend my support to a legislation that does the opposite of that. And Madam President, I take this time to request for a division in our vote. The Belizean people expect this Senate to be the check and balance, not observers. And so we hope we can get the support of our other senators. Thank you, Madam President.
Greg?
You see what is happening?
Greg, give me a chance. I want to exercise chairman's privilege right now, no? If you don't mind. I want to speak to what the gentleman just said just now. Well, not only just him, but most of the ones that you had played already, and I presume you have at least another one more to go. These individuals are speaking to something that the Belizean people need to be clearly appraised of. Because what they're talking about is the PUP, the present PUP government, and with their majority, are attempting to silence the authority vested in the Senate for its judicious effort in terms of they want to turn them not into just a rubber stamp, because basically they're saying that they can't hear nothing that has to do with governance. They can't investigate nothing. They have no authority. They're trying to strip them of any possibility of the Senate demanding accountability on the government. They're trying to say that the government have privileges to hide criminal conduct of any member of the government or the executive section, including those subordinate officers who might want to come or who might be required to come and testify about the conduct of government business. They're trying to blame this, or put the onus right now on the Attorney General and the Governor General. The Governor General doesn't sit in Parliament, in the House, nor does she sit in the Senate. That's where these debates happen. And that's where these questions have to be asked and answered. The Governor General have powers based, according to the present Constitution, that she can demand of the government any executive matter of her concern. But the present Governor General and previous Governor General have never used effectively those powers. They have never resorted to demanding of the government to redress or address any concerns of the public. which is what the Governor General is there for. The authority vested in the Governor General under, I think it's part, well, I won't call it part or the section, but the authority is vested in the Governor General is such that she has the right to demand of the Prime Minister and any other part of government any kind of issue that she has a concern on, and for them to, produce to her. But they are saying no, that the executive employees, they can't produce no papers or come and testify to the Senate about nothing that went on, because for all intents and purposes, the cabinet then takes up those powers and can immunize themselves. They won't prosecute themselves, they won't investigate themselves. And that's what it's all about. They're stripping the Senate of their powers, and that should not be under separation of powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's why I am saying from get-go with this BTL acquisition, these people are not no stooges. This is meant to protect the regulators. And who sits on the board, who are appointed by who. If they call them into inquiry, they will say they cannot discuss it because it is state affairs.
That's the name of the game. Right now, right now, the same Mr. Courtney, as a lawyer now, on behalf of the previous Minister of Home Affairs, he is saying that they want to throw the Budna request for a hearing. They want to throw it out because, on technicality, they have the man locked up in a jail and he can't come out, and his lawyers are at a disadvantage in terms of back and forward and consultation among themselves to produce a proper stuff on his behalf, while they, the government, have the evidence under lock and key, or maybe have disposed of it already. Now they're having the judge, asking the judge to require that Mr. Budna and his lawyer produce the evidence that they have on their lock and key and are hiding. Ventilated or heard. And the man get big manipulate, they didn't it's fucked up. They can't prison say during the last minute investigation. He needs to be locked up.
Mr. Brackett,
go ahead, Greg.
You see what you said here? Let me explain that to you. In a civil matter, this thing have a long way to go.
Yeah.
What they are running away from is disclosure. Because when it gets to that, and Mr. Saldivar is filed subpoena for the state to give up what was said on national TV, then you will have some problems. So
This
that is what they are running away
this
from.
technical move that Mr. Courtney just did was to try and cut the thing out from its knees, so there's no progress and no forward.
It's a narrative. It's a narrative. You remember narrative? Like I said, this is a narrative. The narrative was, anybody see the tape? Did you see the tape? No, nobody see it.
And when the judge and when the compromised judge turn around and say, okay, well, we are ruling in favor of Mr. Courtney, they are turn around and say like they always do. See, they never had a case. They try to, this is how they operate.
The same narrative, you heard it again. When they asked the Minister of Telecommunications, do you believe it's a monopoly? No. When they asked Mr. Musa, former minister, no, I don't see a monopoly. But gentlemen, let's go to a final step. And I want you, the people at home and abroad, listen to exactly what Mr. Heredia had to say on this stage.
Let us play this out. If the Senate is investigating executive corruption or mismanagement, the Governor General reaches out to the executive. The executive can simply advise the Governor General to withhold consent under the guise of affairs of the state. It's a very broad term. Anything can come under that term, Madam President.
Because of that fear of supporting something that to me reads as unconstitutional. I also took it upon myself to confer with other speakers of Commonwealth parliaments that I've had the opportunity to meet and asking their insight. And they were also at a loss as to what the rationale would be and how that supports what our constitution conveys, both in terms of separation of powers for the different parts of our democracy, but also for the specific, as Senator Herrera has called out, specifically for the powers and functions that the Constitution gives.
I do agree and believe that it beholdens the Senate to the Governor General as it relates to what can and can be said by a public officer when certain questions are asked. And based upon my observation, the Governor General does not have a full cadre of professionals that can help him or her make that determination. And that Governor General then must depend upon the existing public service.
On this matter, Madam President, I just wish to make my position clear. I am clearly objecting to this particular bill, and I stand very firmly.
So there you go, gentlemen. That is what is happening, and put it how you may, people at home and abroad. I believe, as I said before, for me, it is still legalized conspiracy, and I will stick to that. Mr. Wade.
You know, it's so sad to see how this whole scenario is playing out again. You know, they are trying to make it legal. They're trying to make it legal for what they want to do. As it stands, they are bucking. They're every which way they buck. They buck here, they buck there. So, you know, so I think, Mr. Chairman, this is their final stop, right? So, out of all this retail saga, I could see that it will end up like the 13th, right? The 13th Amendment, right? Because it has a lot of gravy. A lot of gravy, like the 13th Amendment. A lot of gravy. So I just hope and pray that, you know, again, like I say, you know, that, you know.
Did they pay them your money when they're supposed to pay them?
I don't think so. Not that I'm aware of, Mr. Chairman. I'm not aware that they
cannot be paid because there's an appeal.
Yeah.
Okay. I know Ashcroft.
Well, they're trying to get these other laws in place so that after the appeal, regardless of how the appeal goes, if these laws are in place, then they could back into these laws and say, well, based on these laws, no, they still no need to pay them. That's how onerous these jackals are.
Mr. Chairman, to close up, I know that Ashcroft gets his money every time. Every time he asks for his money, he gets his money in one day. $76 million in one day. $76 million of the taxpayers' dollars given to him by Briseño.
He gets his money and then some. He gets our money too.
So there you go, Mr. Chairman. Greg, you know, I just hope that for clarity you clarify, you know, and I just hope that, you know, the Belizean people are watching, and I just hope that the Belizean people see all these players for who they are, one by one. The lead senator, the Shabbat guy, the Musa guy, the Briseño guy, and the rest of Indians, right? So we leave it in the hands of the Belizean people, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you very much again. I'll read it here from the Belize Constitution, Section 35, which reads as follows. The Prime Minister shall keep the Governor General fully informed concerning the general conduct of the government of Belize, and shall furnish the Governor General with such information as he or she, as the Governor General, may request with respect to any particular matter relating to the governance of Belize. I'm going to do one other reading at section, what is it? Section 16, quickly. Give me a second. Just bear with me. Section 16. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm close to it. Just two more two minutes. 16, I'm close to 17. I need to get to 16. Okay. Oops. I'll go too fast. Just a second. I'm going to read this section 16 right now. Here it is. And I'm just going to read subsection 1, which says as follows. Subject to the provisions of subsection 4, 5, and 7 of this section, no law shall make any provisions that is discriminatory either of itself or in its effect. Remember I mentioned earlier that the House is authorized to make laws. The laws that the House make cannot trump the Constitution. The laws that the ministers they make cannot trump the acts of the House. The laws that the PUC, which is down to at the 4th level in terms of the hierarchy of powers, as Gregory had stipulated earlier, they cannot make any kind of PUC act, PUC regulations that trump the SIs or do anything contrary to what the SI permit them to do. And as a matter of fact, the BTL and SMART and all the others cannot make any operating procedures, protocols, or what you call bylaws, their internal bylaws that run their companies, that supersedes the requirements of the PUC. So these guys have it all backwards. And because they have gotten used to bullyragging us, the Belizean people, tell us a bunch of lies, and then go ahead and do what they want, sometimes without our own knowledge, much less consent, they have this impression that they should be able to get away with doing these things all the time. So now they got jacked. They're in an untenable position, and they're trying to wiggle out of it, but still achieve the same end objective, which is to make that deal fly. And that will only happen if the Belizean people drop the ball, because they're the one that's going to have to pick up and pay the difference later on. Are you back, Greg?
Thank you, sir. Again, I want to explain this. As you were saying, the Telecommunication Act gives the regulator and the minister the power and authority to sign aside. But both sides must be regulation made for fair competition. They are supposed to make sure everything is working out in fair play. What the Act does not do is give PUC as the regulator the power to make law followed by and decided by the minister for a takeover by BTL of any other entity. And that is what the Act says.
Mr. Brackett, remember the phrase that you always use about narratives, narratives, narratives.
Exactly,
We need
sir.
we need to stop follow the narrative that these people put out there, and we are constantly referring to this matter about a BTL taking over or buying or acquisition of these other assets. That's not what it's about. BTL, anybody ever done a survey to show that acquiring these assets will produce a better scenario for BTL over the next 4 years while we pay off these assets? Because the money that we will be giving to these people, we will need that to upgrade and compete with Starlink and whoever else comes into the industry. We won't have that money after we give it to them upfront now that the Prime Minister and everybody else is trying to bamboozle us to pay them off so that they will collect money upfront for something that we don't really need. Because it's redundancy. They all declare and say that it is redundant, but the redundancy somehow, by osmosis, is supposed to accrue benefit and more success and more money to BTL. They're leaving us with a push in a bag.
Mr.
Go ahead,
Chairman,
sir.
it's
Go ahead.
designed to enrich certain people.
That's what it is at the end of the day.
That's what it is designed for. Because I want to say this, right? Starlink will come regardless. But
Yep.
why are they doing this? They know when that come and rate fall, they will not be making that money. So they want to enrich these people and
Right
claim it.
away. Right away.
Like what happened with detail before with that crop. Then you know what happened? The price tag falls right in the lap of the Belizean people. Mr. Wade, I go to you for your comment, and I think you closing.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, sir.
It's a pleasure to sit in your company, sir, and I'm glad that you dedicate your night tonight to a half and half, and so that Greg could have present his his agenda and proof to the Belizean people and show and tell and where we at so far, right? And I'm glad that Greg, I'm glad that we were able to educate the public again one more step, right? It's all about education, Mr. Chairman, right? Educating the Belizean people, right? And I thank you, Greg. I thank you, and it's always a pleasure. And I hope that tonight's program, Mr. Chairman, brings some, clarity, more clarity. And my hat goes off to the verbal from the senators that you played the clip on there, Greg, right? At least publicly, we see, where they stand. And Mr. Chairman, I just hope and pray that, they hold that stand to the end. That's all I'm saying, right? Because it's very crucial.
Important.
Very important, right? So we call on them to hold that stand to the end. For not for me, not for you, not for the senators, for the Belizean people. Right.
Mr. Wade, before you do, I need to mention this, and it's not my belief. Senator Heredia said in one of those clips, and I couldn't find it at the end, that he will make sure that when that detail thing comes to the House, he will talk with his co-senators to make sure they block it, because they do not want to go against the people and what the people want.
So, Mr. Chairman, we hold him in high, standard. We hold him that he should that he will do the right thing, and he will not be. He's not talking with two tongue in terms of when this other big hefty guy, strong guy, call him and say, you know what, here, this is what I got to offer you for your vote. Hope that he turns it down, because that's the way he operates. This guy. So on that note,
the man with the money, Mr. Wade.
Yes, sir. And
Remember
we
that
are
joke?
not afraid, Mr. Chairman, to say it, because we see the action and this attitude of this gentleman on numerous times publicly.
History. There's a history
Publicly.
there.
So again, thanks, Greg, and thanks, Mr. Chairman, for nice
You're welcome, sir. Thanks,
program
Greg,
put together. Thank you, Greg,
for helping with the program tonight and
educating the
keeping
Belizean
us,
people.
pressuring these guys, because without the pressure, these guys, would just accept the matter to have blown over like a lee breeze, like when I say, and just stick it to us again.
Thank you, gentlemen. I
You're
want
welcome.
to thank you, the people who tune in at the live show, and I also want to thank the ones who are tuning out. With that said, I want to say good night to you, the people at home and abroad, and continue again. And I hope you will come back on Monday when we will continue this discussion. But I want to leave you, the people at home and abroad, with this.
You got the money here.